Welcome back for Task 2 of the Education 180 Family in the Community project. Just to refresh your memory, this project is to help us get to know a family and see how the differences in family structure, culture, home, discipline, education, stability, joy, challenge, and stress can have an impact on how a teacher communicates with a family and its students, and also the needs that family and students will have. So we are now going to be moving into step 2, where we are using what we learned about the family to investigate community resources that will assist the family to meet the children's developmental or educational goals or special needs. So as we scroll down to task 2, you should actually at this point have a really good picture of this family. Your interviews and reflections were very detailed, and so now we're going to really think about, if this child was a child in my classroom, how could I best assist the family in any way through community resources. And we've been learning about community resources, so you really have a good picture also of what is the purpose of a community resource to help a family. So we're going to put it all together for this project. So, step 1. I want you to think about the family and brainstorm some areas that they need support in with resources from our community. Then in step 2, you're going to go to the family informally through phone call or email or text, and you are going to have a short discussion with them about these resource benefits. So you want to basically propose to them what you think would be helpful to them from the community. And also, you can ask them, are there any new areas in which they need support? This conversation should be logged into your field experience chart. So if it happens to be face-to-face, they can sign it. Otherwise, you're just going to jot down the time that you spend corresponding with them, and you can just leave the signature area blank. Also, we are going to now go online once we have an idea of what we're looking for, and you can start with an online search of resources in the community where you're going to be looking to support the specific needs of the family in the areas of, special needs for the child, something individually for a parent or the child, basically just something they may need. We're looking for 5 resources. So a search online may get you started, and you really want to focus on the community that they live in. So if you don't live in the same community as they do, you want to go back to their community to find these resources. Then you also, once you identify the resources, you want to communicate with those resources personally. So a lot of times you can just say, oh, I think this would be great. Maybe it's the YWCA, and they have something that can be offered for free for the child that would meet their needs. You might just jot that down. But we really want you to get to know the community area. So instead of just jotting it down, you can either go to that area, go to the resource, go to the location, meet the community partner, introduce yourself, talk to them about the family, see where they can be supported. They might even have resources that you didn't know about through that conversation with the community resource partner. You can also communicate with your community resource partner through email or a phone call. So once you have the contact information for the community resource, you can call them up if you don't really want to go there, or you can email them. But I want you to reach out to the 5 community resources. So it's really important that you get to know them, to introduce yourself, explain to them, the purpose of the phone call and the family that you will be representing. All of these communications, whether they be online, face-to-face, through email, through phone call, should be logged in your field placement attendance form that, remember, is below. Now, I want to show it to you because it's a little different. The family's information is going to be recorded up here. So anything that you do with the family will be recorded at the top of the sheet. I have a space for the 5 different community resource partners. So the date that you communicate with them, and the name of the community resource, the hours that you spend, or, if it's 15 minutes, you can put, that's a quarter of an hour. And then if you meet with them face to face, a signature would be great. If you don't get their signature, that's fine. But you must communicate with them some way. So if you do not go face to face and get a signature, you instead can put email conversation, phone conversation, whatever it is to identify how you communicated with them. If you do not have this part of your field placement attendance form filled out for each of your resources, there is a penalty on the rubric. So if you really need to check in with them personally, it's not just finding something online and jotting it down. This is a new connection for you. Okay, so back here to step 4, after you've had your conversations and you've identified 5 quality local resources for the family, you're going to make an information table for each resource that includes the name and contact information, a description of the primary function of the organization, and then a list of all the services that the organization provides. So basically, you are going to go into this chart, you'll make a copy, and then you'll enter your own information. If you wanted to make your own chart, that's fine as well. This one is made for you. Again, you just have to make a copy and you can go right into it. Because of the way our video is being recorded, if I click into it, you won't be able to see the whole thing. But basically, there's the name of the resource here, contact information here, this is the description box, and this is the list of services box. So it's real simple. You're jotting down just the information that you find on each one. Remember, the conversation with your contact person at the community resource is going to assist you with this, as well as any kind of searching that you can do online about the resource. When you've created your table for each of the 5 different community resources, then you're going to think a little bit. I want you to write a reflection explaining the rationale, which is a why statement. You chose each of these specific resources. I want you to be very, very specific to the members of the family and why this is something that will benefit them specifically. These can be personal reasons or professional reasons, so they can be a variety of reasons. But note, this is probably the most important step of the process because this is what teachers are going to do on a daily basis. They are going to analyze the student and the partner and say, if there's something going on in the classroom, how can I be a partner and help them with a community resource? So really make sure that this part is detailed and you've put a lot of thought into it. Refer back to the conversations you've had in your interview, the phone conversations that you had with the family about the resources that you selected for them, and then the conversations you had with the community members. So you can include that in your rationale. You just quote anything that you don't need a reference page. But if you have specific components of conversations that are important to my understanding, please include them. Last but not least, you're going to schedule a visit with the family face to face, hopefully, to share the community resources with them. So basically, you're going to present them with that table that you created and just talk to them about why you selected it for them and how it will help them. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. If it has to be done through email or a phone call, that's acceptable. I would prefer a face-to-face visit though. It's just, if it's conducive to them time-wise, it's just much more respectful to do it in a face-to-face visit. Log the time for this visit in your attendance form at the bottom. So you have 4 spots here. That should be plenty for completing all those steps. So that's task 2. I'm going to scroll down here to the rubric. It's worth 150 points. And I am going to minimize it for you, maybe, if it will let me. It's not letting me go down to the bottom categories just the way that it's scrolling here. But what I can do is I can just explain it to you. So first of all, we're on that 5-point scale. So for each resource, I'm going to see if it specifically met the diverse needs of the family you interviewed. If it did, it's worth 5 points. So you have 5 resources. You can earn up to 25 points in this category. then is it local? If it's local, it gets 5 points. If it's extended local, it gets 4 points. And if it's not local, it gets on a scale of 3 to 0. So you can earn up to 25 points in this category. The resource fact sheet, that table you're making, if you've included everything asked of you, it's worth 5 points, and that's times 5 resources. So again, 25 points for that category. And then that reflection. If you include details, you specifically refer to conversations with family members and your community resource partners, you can earn the full 5 points. At the end, you can't see it right here, but it says times 4 because this category is worth a total of 20 points. So whatever score you get, I'll take it times 4. Underneath here that you can't see right now because my computer doesn't let me scroll any further, we have conventions, and there's one category worth 5 points for conventions, just like up here. It's actually the same exact category we had in our previous task. And then the field placement hours are exactly the same as well. You just by completing those 4 hours for the course of the project. You won't have probably 4 hours meeting with the family and the community partners, but your interactions and the project should take you about 4 hours, and that's going to be worth a total of 50 points because if you earn a 5 and you've logged everything and we've included all that, it goes times 10. So that is our task 2 of the project. This is really supposed to get you out into the local community. Remember, the local community is the community local to the family that you select, and interacting with the partners out there. And it's a really important step. If you're uncomfortable talking to these partners, it's good to be uncomfortable with things because it helps us, it gets us out of our comfort zone and allows us to build new skills. And as a teacher, you really are going to use these skills. So it's something I want you to get used to. If you have any questions, as always, please contact me and enjoy task 2.